Hello, everyone, and welcome to Release to Results as we release our way through the Course in Miracles workbook, one lesson at a time, just noticing what comes up for us feeling wise. What are the feelings that are coming up that would have us having a different experience than these ideas that are presented in this workbook of A Course in Miracles? Today's lesson is lesson 76. I am under no laws but God's. I am under no laws but God's. So we're going to be going through and looking at some of these laws that we have set up and subscribed to, which the lesson here describes as foolish magical beliefs. Some of the foolish magical beliefs that we have held on to and subscribed to and made ourselves subject to. And there's really no laws but God's. No laws but God's. So, what's suggested in this lesson is that it's merely the mind. The mind is suffering. And so we set up the body's suffering. So we fail to see that the mind is suffering and that the mind is what's having the issue. It's not actually the body, it's the mind. So we give ourselves all these things. We could give ourselves the news. What if the world was an extension of our body? So we might like look at the news and have things that come up, and we use that. The body is suffering, and therefore we go away from our minds, and we are not looking at our minds as being the source of the suffering. It seems like it's out there. It seems like it's the body. It seems like it's the world. And we set up all of these things. So we're going to go through some different things today, such as money. Maybe money is the source of my salvation. That'll make me not suffer if I have enough money. Maybe it's medicine or nutrition, and having the body be really healthy. That's the laws that I need to follow that will end my suffering. Again, going outside of the mind as the source of suffering and putting it into the physical world, putting it into the body. We'll even look at relationships and how we use relationships, make laws around them, magical beliefs that, oh, these relationships and how they're working, that's gonna be the source or the ending of my suffering. So many things that we've taken from the world, made laws and subscribed to that have us so far away from the source of suffering in our minds. So follow along. This is going to be a little longer today as we go through some of these topics that are here in the workbook. And just allow the energy that comes up for you as best you can. Let it be there. Let it dissipate. And come to a place where you are under no laws but God's. And something that's said here is you're in one of God's laws because exchange cannot be made. Nothing is paid for or given or received. Nothing is replaced by something else. God's laws forever give and never take. Notice that so much of the world is based on I do this, I give this, I get this, I receive this. There's always these exchanges going on. So if I do enough work, I'll have enough money and therefore I'll survive. If I take this medicine, I'll be healthy and therefore I'll survive. If I'm in this relationship, I can be happy and therefore I'll survive. There's exchanges being made. God's laws are not based on exchanges. Forever give and never take. So let's go ahead and do some releasing. I am under no laws but God's. And oh my, the amount of things, these senseless things which have seemed to me to be my salvation, putting myself under laws other than God's. And, that's okay. I do that. I'm a human. It happens. I'm having a human experience. So it seems. It really seems so real. All of these things I've been subscribed to. A lesson 76 suggests I am under no laws but God's. Could that be? Could it be that I'm perpetually given to and nothing is ever taken? Everything's here for me. My salvation, the salvation of the world, it's here now. The laws of God. So I'm under no laws but God's. And let's take a look at some of these different laws we've subjected ourselves to. So, how about money? Does it seem like money is your salvation? Or has it ever seemed that way? Like if the numbers in some kind of electronic account are a certain way, I'm safe, I'm saved. If they're another way, I'm doomed, I'm in trouble. Would I starve unless I had stacks of green paper strips and piles of metal discs? And could you just notice what it feels like to be attributing money, numbers, paper, metal with salvation? How does it feel subjecting yourself to money being your salvation? Money being the end of or the cause of your suffering? And could you open up and allow what that feels like? Could you let this energy that's been behind all of this financial okayness, not okayness, this money makes me okay or not okay, the numbers, the paper, the metal, how does it feel? How does it feel to be making money your salvation? Could you feel that feeling? Allow it up. Let it come up. Could you ignore all the thoughts that are going through the mind and simply notice how it feels? A feeling doesn't really have any words that go with it. Though the mind runs around trying to explain this energy, could you ignore the thoughts? And could you feel what it feels like to giving money magical powers of saving or suffering? And could you let go of this feeling? It's just a choice. Would you let go of this feeling and giving money magical powers of saving or suffering? When could you let go of this energy and subscribing to the laws of economics, and be under no laws but God's. And this is not intended to make good or bad of money, stack further judgments and condemnations and attacks on something. Just noticing the energy. I am under no laws but God's. Though it may have seemed like I was under the laws of economics. How much money I have. That's why I'm okay or not okay. Could you just notice the magical power you have imbued upon paper, metal, and numbers in electronic accounts? How does it feel to be giving your okayness or not okayness to these things? Money, economics. Could you go behind thoughts, pictures, the stories of money being a savior or a punisher? And could you just notice the feeling, the energy? Could you open up, allow it up, and just let this energy flow? This feeling that would make money your savior or your condemner. To allow that energy to run. And could you release any or all of that energy? Would you release this feeling and giving money, economics, magical powers, making them your laws? When could you release that feeling and be free under no laws but God's? It's always optional. You never have to. Though each of these laws we've subscribed to is a prison, senseless, and unbind cannot possibly bind us except for we have chosen to be bound. I am under no laws but God's. Though there may have been times, I certainly have done this myself, where you've sought to prove that salvation is where it is not. Perhaps in amounts of money, rubies, pounds, dollars, whether an account is positive or negative, Could you simply acknowledge what it feels like to be giving your well being or not well being to the laws of economics, of papers, metals, and credits in a system? Could you go behind such imaginings and notice how that feels? Could you allow yourself to hold this energy, this feeling consciously? It's been running all the time. Could you just allow yourself to hold it for a moment? Embrace this feeling, whatever it feels like. And could you set this feeling free and free yourself from laws other than God's, such as economics, paper, metal, and credits? Would you set free this energy? When could you set free this feeling of seeking to prove salvation where it is not, and be under no laws but God's? I am under no laws but God's. You are under no laws but God's. And you're not bound by any of these laws which you seem to be subject to or have chosen to be subject to. Though to start to release them, release yourself, first you must realize salvation is not there. Salvation is not in the laws of the world, what seems to be the source of well being or suffering. And let's take a look at the laws of medicine, nutrition. So, has it seemed like you are bound by what you eat, the medicine you have, the fluid you inject into the body, the little round pressed powders that you swallow, the organic or non organic foods, glutens, pesticides, all of these things? Is that what will make you okay or not okay? Does salvation seem to lie in the laws of nutrition and medicine? And that's okay. Without judging or condemning or attacking those laws, could you simply notice how it feels to be making your salvation lie in those? Could you feel the feeling that would have you bound to laws other than God's? Could you open up and welcome this feeling, allowing yourself to be unbound simply by feeling this feeling behind making medicine or nutrition your salvation or your condemnation? Could you sit and feel a feeling without trying to change it, modify it, explain it? You allow yourself to be open and welcoming this feeling. And could you surrender this feeling, making these laws of medicine and nutrition your salvation? Would you surrender this feeling? Give it up if you could? When could you surrender this feeling and being bound by laws other than God's, which only give and need no exchange? I am under no laws but God's. You are under no laws but God's. Though, has it ever seemed like you need to eat a certain way to be okay? Like that's going to save you? Or if you eat another way, you will suffer, die. Has it seemed like some particular medication is going to make you okay or not okay? Could you notice all of the energy binding you up around the laws of nutrition and medicine, making that your salvation? Nothing right or wrong with it, just noticing the energy, the feeling, how vulnerable it makes one to seem. And could you feel what it feels like? Not a label, not a story, just a feeling. Could you allow that feeling that would bind you to the law other than God's? Could you let this feeling run? Let it move without trying to push it away or stuff it down. Could you simply feel this feeling? And could you surrender this feeling and being bound to the laws of nutrition and medicine? You don't have to. Yes or no is fine. Would you surrender this feeling if you could? and be free under no laws but God's? When could you surrender this energy? It has nothing to do with how you eat or what medicines you take. All that's fine and pretty irrelevant. Just would you surrender this energy of subscribing to the laws of nutrition and medicine, being under no laws but God's? I am under no laws but God's. You are under no laws but God's. And these sufferings of the body, these laws that we've subscribed to, simply meant to hide that the mind is the source of our suffering, hiding that suffering, its cause, by all this emphasis on the body, what it's eating, the medicines it takes, the laws of nutrition, medicine, the body's protection in innumerable ways. Just distractions from the source of suffering, being merely in the mind. And that's okay. We all do it. Isn't to make further condemnation or attack. Just noticing a feeling. And so, is what you eat, whether you're saved or ruined? Is the medication or immunizations you get, is that determined whether you're saved or ruined? Or has it ever seemed like that? And could you notice how it feels to be subject to the laws of what you eat or the medications you take or don't eat? Laws of nutrition and medication. How does that feel? Could you feel the feeling more? Just ignoring the thoughts that come through the mind, come and go. Could you feel the feeling that would produce so many thousands of thoughts? Just feeling the feeling as best you can, maybe even feeling it more. How much of this has been carried? Could you open up and allow it, welcome it as best you can? And could you release the energy that would bind you to foods and medicine as being your safety or your danger? Would you release this energy if you could be free from the laws of nutrition and medicine? Doesn't mean you don't play the game, just free of it. When could you release this law other than God's, this law of the world, that feeling that would have you bound to it. Ah, now I am under no laws but God's. That's what it says here. I am under no laws but God's. Are you under no laws but God's? You are under no laws but God's. Though sometimes it seems like there's some other laws that are necessary to be okay or not okay. And can you open up to the laws of friendship, the laws of relationships that perhaps you have given magical powers over whether you're okay or not okay, saved or doomed? Could you notice how it feels to be subject to the laws of whether you're in a relationship, not in a relationship, the relationship's good or bad? How much have you been bound by the appearance of other bodies and what they're doing with your body or not doing? And that's okay. Nothing wrong with relationship. Perhaps nothing right with it either. How does it feel to be bound to the laws of relationships, giving them magical powers over your okayness or not okayness? Could you simply notice how it feels and let that feeling be there? Let it do its thing and just ignoring the thoughts as best you can. Could you consciously go into this feeling, this energy, wherever it is, whatever it is, feeling it? Could you sit with it for just a moment? And could you dismiss, let go of this feeling and the magical belief that this relationship and how it's going is your salvation or your suffering? Would you release, dismiss this feeling that would bind you? When could you release the magical belief and the feeling that a relationship and how it's going is your light or darkness? Always optional. You never have to let go or dismiss any of this. Just a choice. For there's an idea that the Course suggests here. I am under no laws but God's. I am under no laws but God's. So there's times where I've made whether I'm saved or suffering about what a relationship is like, whether somebody likes me, doesn't like me, whether we're together or apart. Is there anywhere that I've been subscribing to some laws other than God's, like the laws of relationships, good relationships, bad relationships, as if those are my okayness or not okayness? Yes, as a matter of fact. And could I go behind the thoughts about such things, these relationship laws, and notice how it feels to be subscribed to some magical belief that this relationship will make me okay or not okay? Could I allow that feeling and let all the thoughts that would take me away from the feeling pass by? And just be aware of this feeling, noticing it, letting it run. Could I be surrendering whatever is coming up? Any of this feeling, these beliefs I've subscribed to, just move just by surrendering, turning it over, feeling it, releasing it. Could I surrender this feeling and giving relationships magical powers? Would I release this feeling? Yes or no is fine. Just a choice. When could I release this feeling, subjecting myself to laws of relationships, as if those would make me saved or ruined? And could I be under no laws but God's? I am under no laws but God's. You are under no laws but God's. So there's a great many of different kinds of laws we have believed we must obey, such as it's how this relationship going with somebody. That's whether I'm okay or not. It's what's going on with these bodies and how they interact, what they say to each other. That makes me saved or condemned. And can you just notice any seeming laws of relationships which you have believed will lead to your salvation or your suffering? And there may be a great number of thoughts. Could you notice how it feels behind the thoughts? Feeling to be bound to a relationship and how it's going. going on with these bodies and how they're relating. How does that feel? Could you allow that feeling to run? Just be there. Do its thing. Just letting the thoughts swim by without biting at them. Could you feel this feeling? And as you're feeling it, just letting go of the energy behind it. Could you feel and release, feel and surrender, feel and let go? Could you let go of this feeling, the energy behind it, and this belief in some magical power a relationship has to make you okay or not okay? Yes or no is fine. What do you choose? Would you let go of this feeling, the energy behind it, and the law of relationship being what you're under and subjected to? When could you let go of this feeling, some law of relationships being what makes you saved or suffer? I am under no laws but God's. I am under no laws but God's. Laws which are free, endless joy, endless love, laws which require you do nothing, no exchange be made, nothing taken or given. God's laws forever give and never take, always available. Today, could you remind yourself often, I am under no laws but God's, often as you like, several times an hour perhaps. I am under no laws but God's. And you may find more things which you have magical beliefs in, as if they're going to make you okay or not okay. That's all, and that itself is okay. It happens. We've all subscribed to a great many catalogs of rituals, and while it has seemed like we must obey them, perhaps we can let them go. That's all this is about. Letting go one lesson at a time, one day at a time, one moment at a time, of any laws other than God's. So well done releasing, and thank you for joining us. And yeah, I'll open up for some questions here. Thank you, Arnav, for joining us for so many of these. And you had a few questions in here. How to handle the negative things seeing in the world through news and other sources, feeling anger, pain, fear, and sorrow. Good question. Well, how about rather than handling them, just noticing how you feel? I personally can't handle the world, all the stuff in the news. I went crazy subscribing to the news, watching the news, reading the news, all the opinions about the news. Everybody's got an opinion on social media about what's happening. So, first, maybe not even watching. the news or reading it, but if you do, notice, use it. Use it. How am I feeling? Am I feeling angry about this? Could I allow myself to feel angry? Could I let that anger just be there and ignore the thoughts? I was a very, very angry person for a long time. Very, very angry. Very, very afraid. And just let that energy sit there as long as it takes until it goes. Then perhaps you won't feel like you need to worry about anything that's going on in the world. It's there's a saying, all the worrying that I do doesn't add a day to my life. And when I release the anger or the worry, then I get to see what the body does from a higher frequency. And what to do when we see someone in pain and we can't help them, or we're not in a position to help them. Well, once again, notice there's a feeling there. There's a feeling there. And could I release this feeling of apathy or like I can't do anything? What does it feel like when it seems like I can't do anything, but I really want to, but it seems like I can't? Well, there's that too as a feeling. Could I allow that feeling up? Any wanting to change the situation that this person's in? Anything, any wanting to do anything about it? The feeling behind it. Could I let that run, let it run out? And Dr. David Hawkins, who I learned this technique from, he was a very, very successful doctor, but there were some patients, no matter everything he tried, they just didn't get well. Just didn't get well. And uh, could you could you notice that if you've tried everything and nothing seems to be worked, could you just love them? Could you release up to a point where you just love them? Release the worries, release the anger, release the sadness, the apathy, and could you simply just love them? And what Dr. Hawkins found with his patients, and I've found with friends and family, is that just loving them oftentimes shifts the field in such a way that the miracles happen and things change. And if they don't change, I'm okay. I'm okay. Um, yeah, so great questions, Arnav. Now, some spiritual books that could help with growth. We use four books in Release to Results. Um, one of them being this book, the Course in Miracles Workbook. It's free and available online. You can get free apps that take you through the Course in Miracles workbook. You can go to the Course in Miracles website. It's just one simple lesson a day, and that's what we're going through right here. This is my fourth time through it. There's 365 lessons, and I've gone through it a few times, and the ideas as you let them work upon you are incredibly powerful. Though the primary book that we use in Release to Results is this book, Letting Go, The Pathway of Surrender by Dr. David R. Hawkins. And I'm in Sedona, Arizona, and Dr. Hawkins lived in Sedona, Arizona. And he was a mystic. He reached a very high state of consciousness. This map of consciousness is behind me, is came through him. This is Dr. Hawkins right here. Um, and he wrote many books, but Letting Go the Pathway of Surrender describes this process beautifully and takes you through it. Oh, fantastic. So you've got some of his books. Do you have this one? Letting Go the Pathway of Surrender really will make this process a lot easier for you. And you'll actually be releasing and letting go as you go through it. It was him that recommended to me doing the Course in Miracles workbook and just going through it. And it's made a big difference in my life. He also recommends 12-step programs. He's got a line, if you don't have a problem to be in a 12-step group, get one because it's the best place you can be. So that's another great free resource of a lot of help. But yeah, Letting Go the Pathway of Surrender. So awesome. You've got that one. Transcending the Levels of Consciousness. This book behind me here, um, Transcending the Levels of Consciousness, is another book of his, and it's like walking through all of these different. Oh, this is Rachel's copy. Um, uh, wa- walking through these levels, the stairway to enlightenment. What are we doing when we're releasing negative energy? We are enlightening. We're becoming lighter inside. And so this takes you through in much more detail than the letting go book. I'd start with letting go and then go into this book. Awesome, you got this one. Okay. Yeah, transcending the levels of consciousness makes it really just it blew me apart reading it. And we actually have gone through this book as a group in Release to Results. We've also gone through Letting Go, the Pathway of Surrender. We used to do sessions just on these books and releasing on what we read. Um, so this is a good one. Glad you got it. And then the other book that we use is called The Sedona Method, Your Key to Lasting Happiness, Success, Peace, and Emotional Well-Being. So um, thanks, Giovanna. I'm so glad you joined us. Appreciate that. Uh, the Sedona Method, again, this is Rachel's copy. Um, this book, Lester Levinson, this guy right here, he used the releasing technique, the letting go technique, to heal himself of a great many diseases and problems and difficulties. And his protege, his number one guy, well, he had two number one guys, wrote this book, and it's got tons and tons of releasing. This is the whole question and answering process, or the questioning process that I use. That all comes from the Sedona method. So and there's tons of exercises in this book to deepen your releasing and letting go practice. I learned this facilitation method from Hale Dwoskin, uh, who wrote this book. It's a fantastic book. And yes, Lester Levinson was his teacher. Lester Levinson also lived in Sedona, and uh, Dr. Hawkins even learned the Sedona method from him and just took it all the way. So those are the books that I recommend: A Course in Miracles Workbook, The Sedona Method, Letting Go, The Pathway of Surrender, and Transcending the Levels of Consciousness. And our group, Arnav, is totally free for 14 days. So if you wanted to hop in with us, we do Zooms twice a day, 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I don't know what time that is in India. Um, though, yeah, we also have hundreds of replays are available. So you can come in and check it out for free whenever your dad gets back, if that's cool. I don't know. How old are you? All right, Arnav, how old are you? If you don't mind me asking, you don't have to share. Um, okay, so it's nighttime in India right now. Yes, morning here. Um, well, that it's just really 22. Okay, cool. Yeah, I started doing this technique when I was about 25. Is when I started doing this technique. It's very powerful and will help you, navigate, this time in your life with much greater ease. And what I used to do is I'd release a little bit and things would get better, and then I'd stop. Lester Levinson and Dr. Hawkins just recommended releasing all the time because it'll just get better and better and better. So yeah, we'd be happy to have you join us, and then we can talk on the Zooms, so it'll be easier to talk and answer your questions, and you can even bring up some of these topics. I've seen you bringing up topics, and if I can, I like to weave it in. Though these sessions are set topic sessions just on the Course in Miracles workbook. The other sessions we do are open topic, and anybody can bring up things for letting go. So it's a really good way to bring up your topics. Because believe me, I'd love to take you through some releases on some of the stuff you've mentioned. And also, it's beneficial to all of us. When you bring up a topic, we check in with whatever's going on with us. And if you ever came to Sedona, Arizona, if you ever wanted to hop over to the States, it'd be great to meet you. Or if I'm over in India, but we do these sessions. They're hybrid, so there's some people here in the room with me, and some people online. And yeah, would uh, yeah, just be great to get to connect. And I'm so grateful you've been on so many of these sessions. I'd love to hear of any benefits you've been having from it. Um, all right, Arnav. Got time for like this was a longer release. I'm so glad to get to do some Q&A. Have the best day you can. I'm gonna sign off, and my son's visiting for Christmas. He's about to turn 15, and so gonna go see what he's up to. Love you guys, and have the best day you can. Keep on releasing.